All right. Hey, I'm Ryan. If you haven't figured that out yet, here's the deal. So many people, product people, web people, developers, there's a whole slew of software professionals that just haven't got into the testing space yet. And they think it's complicated, they think it's expensive, and it can absolutely be both of those things, but it doesn't have to be. And so I get asked this a lot, and I just want to make a quick video to really show what testing can do in a very simple kind of example. So as you guys have figured out, I've got a website. Look at that. I put a little quote down here, and it says, "Why, hello there." And that's not what I'd like it to say. I'd like it to kind of rotate between a number of items. I don't know what item, what quote someone's going to find particularly engaging, and whether it has any effect whatsoever on session duration. For example, if you find I'm somewhat entertaining or comical, maybe you'd stay on the site longer. Albeit, and arguably, this is a bad test, so this is not very useful from an actual test perspective, much more from an example perspective. So let's look at Google Optimize. Let's assume you've set this thing up and you followed any numerous articles to set Google Optimize up on your site. You'll see something like this. Create your first experience. There's a few kinds. An A/B test is simply two different options, at least two different options on the same screen. Multivariant is a little misleading. It has, not only is it like an A/B test, but it's over multiple steps. So you need something to follow someone. For example, through a checkout flow, or a landing page that references the user as a traveler, or a wedding campaign you're doing and you want that wedding information to stay through the whole thing. Or if you don't want to say the word tickets and you want to say voucher, and you want to say voucher through 3 or 4 steps. The next one's redirect. It just simply bounces half your traffic or a percentage of your traffic to another spot. Personalization is interesting because it doesn't really track anything, and it's for 100%. So if I want to make a quick change to my website, this is a great place to do it. This type of functionality saved my butt a number of times when business dynamics had changed so rapidly we couldn't create a ticket and get developers to change something. This is a great way to fill that gap. Let's quickly do an A/B so you can see how simple it is. Let's just say not funny quote test. I'm going to put in website address. This is the editor page. So if you want to edit a very specific page, put that in there. I'm doing the main page. And now you see these are your steps. You can see there's already targeting rules. There's already a link to analytics, and I can change any of these. Let's do a couple things. Verify the editor page is correct. That's the page you saw. Imagine that. It is linked to an experiment and Google Analytics. And it's on all traffic and on page load. I can choose to get emailed the results. Now let's get to the fun part. Variants. I've got a series of dumb quotes for the site. Imagine that. A list of dumb quotes for the site. So the first one is called Battle Hardened. Look at that. I did one of these previous. So I'm going to copy my stuff out of band. You guys can't see that. It's currently 50% original. It says, "Why, hello there," and 50% Battle Hardened, which has no changes right now. We're going to go look at the changes. Here's where the magic happens. So what we see here is Google Optimize has loaded that editor URL into my browser. I can then click and name these items and change them. I'm going to go back to that quote. I like what it selected. It used an ID that's very strong. It's not a fragile selection. If it was something more obscure or like first or whatever, it's no good. But hashtag nav quote means that it's actually an ID, so that's a good sign. I'm going to edit the HTML. I'm going to, I like a break in here. It doesn't have to be. I just like clean stuff. Apply, and that's it. Notice that. That's all the changes I want to make to this, and in general you don't want to make a whole bunch on a test. It did notice that there's a trailing slash So in the editor page, so that's what it changed it to. That's what that warning said. It's perfectly fine. Now here's an important part. You need to go preview it. I'm going to preview it on the web. You really want to preview it on all of these. Feel real confident. I've already done this, but you see how that works, right? And if we went back and got another one and said add variant, there's you can do a lot of them. This one's called Ryan Origin, and this dumb quote says edit. I'm going to show you another trick in just a second. Grab that again, edit element, edit HTML. You can edit text as well. You can make things disappear. You can make things show. I like that. This one says the name of Ryan originates from ancient Irish, which roughly translates to nerdy computer guy. I think it's somewhat true. I think technically it's Little King, but they didn't have computers back then. Okay, so now let's try one more. We're going to do another one, but we're going to do it a different way. We're going to say make a copy. And I'm going to edit variant info. This one's going to be tests. And this one's going to say, and notice we did copy on this one. So now we can hit edit. And we're going to look at this change that's already up here. If you hit that change, you're going to see the actual change in the test. I can hit edit and go right to that. So this just verifies, can save you some time if you made multiple changes by duplicating. I've got plenty more dumb quotes, but I'm going to leave it at that for today and show you what the end result of this is. So I'm going to hit do an objective. Primary objective is going to be session duration. Do they hang out on my site longer than another person based upon that quote? Highly unlikely. I doubt it moves the needle at all. However, it's interesting for this test, right? Just a quick example. And then you hit, close that, and you hit start. It's going to yell at you, and you're good to go. Now take note, you can't just make edits to this anytime you want and expect your results, your answer to continue to be the same. What's going to happen is it's running. You cannot edit. You have to stop and edit it. And you're going to want to run tests for a minimum of 10 days based upon your amount of traffic. Often, if you're a site like this site that doesn't get much traffic, you have to run it longer to see if it really has an effect. The reporting, once this is running, you'll start to get reports in here, and it'll start to converge, and you'll see data that converges on an answer. And it'll say, I feel, we're 97% confident that this is the appropriate answer. And you let Google and all of its ninja-ness work for you. And this whole product is free. Now you have zero excuses not to start testing something. Just go test something. I challenge you to test anything. It doesn't matter. You really just need to get into it. If you're not testing something yet, you just saw how easy it is to create a test. Hope you have a great day.